Well, you know, when you listen to what you're saying, obviously people would say, well, after all those wake-up calls, you'd have to be a fool not to believe and not to turn your life over to God if you hadn't already done that. Because ultimately that message, it's a very scary message when you hear it like this. But the message of Garabandal is not meant to be scary. It's meant to be a message of hope, one of love, is it not?
For me, that's what it is.
I mean, obviously we need to be scared into action sometimes because of, you know, our inaction and our lack of faith. But God really is trying to do this because of his love for us, to turn mankind back to God, to right our lives.
He sent the Blessed Mother to this earth to give us the message of faith, hope, and love, and conversion. What was this message? We have to make a lot of sacrifices. We have to do a lot of penance. We must make many visits to the Blessed Sacrament. But first of all, we must be very good. The chalice is getting full, and if we do not change, a very great chastisement will come upon all humanity. And all the girls say, let all Catholics confess before the chastisement, and let all others, meaning non-Catholics, repent of their sins.
But ultimately, if people are afraid of what they're hearing from you, turn that fear into action. Start praying, start opening your hearts, and let God guide you at that point. And then, you know, then you'll be able to walk.
It has to be done on an individual basis. It really does. The movement has to be a movement of the heart.
Right.
Now.
Where he can touch you.
That's right. And you know what? All we have to do is say, Mother, what do you want from me? Please help me. I want to be good. I want to do the will of God. Please help me. And Jesus is not on the cross waiting to hit us over the head with a big stick. All he wants us to do is say, Lord, forgive me. I'm sorry for anything I ever did to offend you. I know it's my sins that nailed you to the cross. That's another thing. We no longer recognize the evilness of sin. We don't recognize it anymore. And this is another thing that the worldwide wanting is going to do. It's going to correct the conscience of the world. How long will it last? I don't know, but it comes to prepare us. It's a purification to prepare us for the great miracle, which will be the greatest miracle that God has ever performed for mankind.
So that warning is ultimately a gift of grace to us.
Yeah, a tremendous
Another gift of grace that we've been given.
Gift of love, and all God's waiting for is for us to say, Lord, help me to do your will. Help me to do your will. There's nothing we can give God.
Right.
Nothing.
Just ourselves and our love.
The only thing we can give God is to renounce our own free will. The gift that he gave us in life. Renounce your free will and say, Jesus, I want to do only your will. And you know, Jesus said something at Garabandal. Anyone who's disposed to do my will know what my will is.
Who did he say that to?
He said that to Conchita in elocution.
In elocution.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the status of Garabandal in the eyes of the church?
Right now, it's no different than it was the last time I was here. The status is that they just say that it's natural. They're not calling it supernatural. Because if they call it supernatural, that means they approve. And they can't approve until the prophecies, the major prophecies, take place. But what has happened since I was here last was Bishop Del Val, the bishop who appears in the video, Garabandal, the eyewitnesses, passed away.
The bishop of the diocese, Bishop John de Valgaro, witnessed 3 of the apparitions when he was still a young priest, and served briefly on the diocesan commission set up to investigate these events. After he became bishop, he set up a new investigation in 1988.
I needed to do a personal investigation because the responsibility demands this of oneself. So I had to do something about it, because I thought it was something serious that had happened in Garabandal. It seemed to me that because it was so serious, I had to find out for myself exactly what happened in Garabandal. The results were brought to the Holy See, to the Sacred Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith. That is where you have to take things like this. So that is where the documents are. They were given to Cardinal Ratzinger.
¿Es el mensaje de Garabandal teológicamente correcto y de acuerdo con las enseñanzas católicas?
Yo creo que sí, que es teológicamente correcto.
The messages are theologically correct, yes. But one of the details bothers me, like the one that many bishops and cardinals are walking the path of perdition. It seems to me to be a bit severe. The messages do not say anything that is against the doctrine of the Church. The apparitions have never been condemned. The previous bishops did not admit that the apparitions were supernatural, but to condemn them, no. That word had never been used.
El mensaje,
For sure, I consider the messages important because they are important in the area where it is similar to Lourdes and Fatima.
a Lourdes, similar a Fátima, tiene semejanzas, ¿no?
It is important for us Christians to live what the messages of the Blessed Mother are saying. If we consider that she could have said this, but I'm not saying that she did, since this would be admitting that the apparitions are true, and I cannot do that, because the Church has not yet said so. The Church is the one that has the last word.
The bishop removed all the restrictions on visits to the village that previous bishops had imposed on priests.
I don't remember exactly the date. It was done step by step. I told the pastor to start removing the restrictions, and then it was just announced publicly. It was about 6 years before I retired in September 1991.
And guess when he died, was buried, his wake, on the anniversary of the last apparition, November 13, this past November 13. Nothing is a coincidence. That should say something to people.
Yeah.
In 1966, Conchita was called to the Vatican by Cardinal Ottaviani. At that time, she met Pope Paul VI, who, during his conversation with her, said, "Conchita, I bless you, and with me the whole Church blesses you." This cannot be interpreted as an approval of Garabandal, but his statement is not without significance.
There is no doubt in my mind everything prophesied here will happen. The warning, the miracle, and the permanent sign. The Virgin Mary was here. It was supernatural.
One day the church bell tolled. Conchita said to her mother, "Pope John is dead. Our Lady told me now there will be only 3 more popes, and then it'll be the end of time, but not the end of the world."